Hello all and welcome to hrtech.sg's demo hour March 2022 edition. Organized by hrtech.sg and hrtech.in. The demo hour is powered by our sponsor Archili. In today's session, we will be showcasing how we can leverage technology for learning and development. Before that, a quick overview of hrtech.sg and IN. We host what is Singapore's largest and curated marketplace with over 140 providers across 8 categories. We are the creators of the Singapore hrtech market map that has been endorsed by Institute for Human Resource Professionals, Singapore Human Resource Institute, Singapore Poly, and SHRM. We also host what is India's fastest growing HR technology marketplace. We have about 45 plus providers. And we also have the India HR Tech Market Map, which is being increasingly adopted by HR teams in India. We embarked on the demo our event series in 2019, pre-pandemic, to evangelize and promote use of HR technologies. So the event provides a platform for various HR tech providers to come and showcase their high-tech solutions, thereby aiding the acceleration of adoption of HR tech. The event motto has always been only to showcase demos and not lengthy presentations. So the first event happened in September 2019 at our WeWork facility in Suntec, Singapore. And after the onset of the pandemic, we have moved to an on-demand webinar format. And I'm really looking forward to our May-June editions, where we hopefully should be going back to an in-person demo hour session. So we have done demo hour events focused on specific topics such as mental wellness technology, technology for managing non-PMETs. PMETs is a Singaporean terminology. Non-PMETs essentially refer to blue-collar workers. Technology for managing not just diversity and inclusivity, but diversity, equity, inclusivity, and belonging, so on and so forth. There have been quite a bit of trends that we have seen in the talent development space. Number one, foremost, skills is a new currency. In fact, in Gartner's analysis, it clearly showed that companies listed about 33% more skills on their job ads in 2020 than they did in 2017. Clear indication that skills is a new currency. Employers, we feel, often fail to realize that their employee skills are easily transferable from one role to another. So understanding this, it can really help them realize the talent they already possess and make talent fulfillment faster and more effective. Number two, we see there's a continuous focus on learning in a hybrid workplace. So learners, as all of you L&D specialists will know, have different needs, and especially modern learners seek a more engaging, intuitive, interactive experience. You know, they want the learning experience to mirror how they use technology in their personal life. It should be simple, it should be mobile first design, powerful search capabilities to search for their learning content, clearly organized libraries, easy to access video content. So much more is required by the modern learners. Not just that, they also require bite-sized training. That seems to be the norm these days. Employees are really busy managing their work-life integration. I'm not using the term work-life balance, I'm saying work-life integration. And that's why micro-learning continues to dominate the industry in 2022 and beyond. So smaller content units typically take about a few minutes to complete, means it can fit in right into their busy schedules. Another important trend that we are definitely seeing in the L&D space is the internal talent marketplaces, which are really getting popular because of the democratic employee-centered platform. It can help employees fulfill their aspirations by finding internal positions without the approval of their bosses. In fact, it's encouraging agile internal gig work, all of which are really trending. Then we are seeing people are hiring for skills and not for roles, as it used to happen earlier. Upskilling and reskilling for specific in-demand skills seems to be the trend. Personalized learning and delivering a great learner experience is what everyone expects, right? And that's leading to robust LMSs and LXPs, right? Learning management systems, learning experience platforms coming into the scene so that employees are truly engaged with their learning experience. So with so many things happening in the L&D tech space, we felt the need to have a demo hour focused on L&D. And we are very happy to host three best-in-class L&D tech providers here. CoachHub, which is represented by Daryl Goh. L&T EduTech are represented by Somdev Chaudhuri and Sachin Nair. UpsideLMS represented by Vivek Garg. And as part of our expert HR panel to witness these demos and clarify questions on behalf of the many thousands of professionals who will be watching this in an on-demand format on YouTube, we are extremely delighted to host our expert L&D panel today. We have Paramita Ghosh, who is the APAC Capability Academy lead of Cognizant. We have Veena Jadhav, who's the Associate Dean, GMBA and MGB at SP Jain School of Global Management. We have Juan Santos, Senior Vice President and Talent and Diversity Group Manager, Philippines at Citi. I'd really like all the panelists to provide a 30-minute quick intro about them. Over to you, Paramita.
Thanks, Sriram. Thank you for that amazing way how you presented how L&D has become so mainstream in the HR function. So my name is Paramita. I work for Cognizant, have been with Cognizant for 24 years. Of the 24 years, I have actually spent 10 years in the L&D function within Cognizant. Currently, I take care of all the Asia Pacific region countries for Cognizant, as well as globally 2 business units, which is infrastructure and data analytics. 2 business units which is changing so drastically, we can hardly keep track of what technologies are coming in. So it's a Herculean task to understand the learning needs of these business units, to then translate them to bite-sized learning. Like Sriram said, how do you bring in the modern workplace learning aspects to it, to engage the learners better, and then deliver those curriculums that we design. So my team and myself, we work a lot with these designing aspect of stuff, but of course, to help us reach everyone globally, we use a lot of technology, to be honest, be it LMS or various platforms for assessments or coaching, etc., which actually helps us to make the learning more efficient and effective. So happy to be here and looking forward to the demo. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Paramita, for the 24 years and 30-second introduction. Over to you, Mon.
Okay, thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I'm Juan Santos. I'm the Talent, Diversity, and Learning Head of Citibank Philippines. I've been with Citibank for more than 30 years now, and I've been handling talent and learning for Citi Philippines, and we are now really challenged by the new and changing landscape of the business. And more, the business is relying on us in the talent and learning space to provide the necessary support, the necessary development to our talent, not just to retain them, but to upskill them and to get them ready for the new work environment. I'm happy to be here to learn more and to see how our providers can help us in this space. Thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you, Mon. We really look forward to your inputs. Dr. Veena?
Hello, everyone. Thank you, Sriram, for the kind invite and introduction. So I'm part of SP Jain School of Global Management, and I'm associated with the school for over 14 years. Academics is my second career. In my first career, I worked as an HR consultant for over 15 years, covering various aspects of HR. I'm quite passionate about HR leadership and technology in HR. Currently, I'm looking after our master's program across our 3 campuses in Sydney, Dubai, and Singapore. So quite excited because we are also tremendously disrupted by the pandemic as an education provider. So looking forward to these innovative solutions and looking forward to the session with my fellow panel members. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Veena. We will start with the session. We will have Daryl from CoachHub talk about digital coaching. I'd request Daryl to start off first, and then Som from L&T EduTech would be presenting next. Over to you, Daryl.
Thank you so much for your time. My name is Daryl from CoachHub. What I'll do today is I will run you through maybe a couple of slides on who we are as an organization, and then go straight into the demo. So CoachHub is founded in 2018, and we are founded with a goal to democratize coaching. So since then, we have been on rapid growth the last few years. We are currently more than 750 employees. You can see on the screen as well, we actually have a global pool of more than 3,000 coaches in 60 languages. Essentially, what we are a marketplace for coaching, right? So we bring together the world's best coaches, and how we service our clients is we give them a subscription-based, unlimited coaching platform. That's something that our clients can come to us and get the licensing to run unlimited executive coaching every single month. A little bit about some of the profile of our coaches. You could see that we work very closely with some of these associations. You include your EMCC and your ICF. One of our requirements is really for them to have at least 500 hours. So in the ICF term, where I'm from in Singapore, this will mean that most of the coaches you see are at the PCC and MCC level. They also need at least 6 years of management experience, right? So we're talking about at least relevant experience as a director in the relevant industries. And we are also very particular with the scores that they have. So we're looking at about 4.5 out of 5. That puts them, as world-class coaches around the region. So I think that's a bit of what I want to talk about the organization. Last year, we also received our Series B funding of more than 130 million euros. So we are on a growth track to democratize coaching. And what I'll do during our demo is to bring you through the 7 different stages where we start from matching the coaches and the coachees all the way to the different overviews of the coaching progress, right? So let me just bring you guys through over here. So you could see as I start my demo now, you can see that, essentially CoachHub, we have an app that runs on your mobile application, but at the same time, we also are able to run it on the laptop or PC, right? But to start off everything, it all starts with them putting in their profile, right? So we talk about, how they tell us about themselves, which industry your employees are from, and then which business function or unit they are working in, followed by, how many years of leadership experience do they have. So we even talk about, some of the coach preferred coaching language, whether is it in English, in APAC, any of the languages, more than 60 plus we actually support. Thereafter, which gender, if it's important to them or not, they can actually let us know as well. And lastly, which industries your coach should be familiar with. Once that is done, we actually have patented a matching AI algorithm that will allow the profile to be popped up for the coaches to choose. Now, for all the L&D professionals out there and all the HR professionals out there, we know that coaching is unlike training. So when it comes to training, obviously, we can have a master trainer and generally scores will be very, very high because he or she is a good trainer. But when it comes to coaching or the success of a coaching relationship, many times it's more important for us to not just find the best coach and pair them up with the best coaches, but rather things like chemistry and trust are really, really important. So having an AI algorithm is one thing, right? But at the same time, we also want to allow the coaches to choose their coaches, right? So you could see again that, they are able to look at the different coaches' introductory video. They can look at their philosophy, a little bit about them and their experience. And in the event he or she feels that, the 3 coaches that the AI algorithms have generated are not up to what they want, right? They can actually continue to generate 3 more profiles and so on and so forth until they find a suitable coach. Now, in the event that he or she doesn't like his or her coach, no problem. We have a customer experience team that can continue to send them different coaches' profile until they find the right fit. So we all believe in a very, very good coach and coachee relationship and experience, and that's what we aim to provide as an organization. Moving forward, the rest allows them to kind of set up a meeting, schedule a meeting, and then this is another thing that I want to just quickly highlight on. So we have a behavioral scientist team, and this is important because with this team of behavioral scientists, what we have done is we have come together to kind of come up with a coaching assessment, right? So based on this assessment, it will actually generate a report at the end of the assessment. So all the fellow HR professionals and L&D folks out there, if you guys have gone through coaching, if you remember your first coaching experience, often we start by going into the conversation a little confused. Sometimes we don't know what to expect. However, right, having this strengths report really gives us language on some of the areas of improvements or areas of strengths that we can speak to our coach about. So it takes away some nerves, gives us a bit of confidence and some words and languages that we can use in our coaching conversation. All right. So moving forward, again, you get to look at your report. You can share it with your coach. When the scheduled time has arrived, you can have that coaching conversation, rate your coach. But one of the things that I also want to highlight here is the messaging function. Now, for most of us who have gone through coaching before or have scheduled coaching primarily for our leaders or managers, we know that coaching is very, very expensive, right? And coaching is also something that is reserved, let's say, for our senior leaders in the past. So assuming today, if a coaching schedule is scheduled from 2 to 3 p.m., traditionally speaking, right, I can only reach out to my coach within that hour. Okay, if I want to, let's say, talk about coaching outside that 2 to 3 p.m. time slot, then most of the time it's chargeable. However, because CoachHub operates right on a whole new subscription model, it allows you to then reach out to the coach anytime you want, right? So it's almost instantaneous as long as the coach reply. And the good thing is that people these days don't want to wait 2 weeks or 1 month later for the next coaching conversation to get instantaneous feedback, right? We want feedback. We want to know how we're doing right away. So with this messaging function, it allows us to reach out to our coach anytime, and the coach is able to reply us. And from there, we can tweak our behaviors even before the coaching session. To move on, you can set goals. Again, there are different focus areas for you to look at. Based on the report, you can look at areas that you want to improve on, your strengths. You could also look at areas of your weaknesses so that you can become better in certain areas. Once that is selected, what happens is that you can again share it with your coach, and your coaching conversation will be around where you see yourself at the moment and where you want to be at the end of the coaching program. Yeah. So what I have here is, again, you could see a very, very small picture here, right? This is actually the coach assigning coachee activities. And it says here, practice daily meditation. Now, what is interesting is that because we have a behavioral scientist team that not only acts as consultants, but as professionals who are very much in the coaching field, what they have done is they have curated certain exercises, write different articles, and record different videos. And essentially, this coach can go in and pull out certain activities that they feel is relevant for their coachees, right? So I will just take a jump here over and I'll show you my live account. So you could see that this is my coach and I'm having a session with him tomorrow. What is interesting is that, when I click on Academy, right, you could see that, based again on my focus areas and some of the different kinds of strengths report that I have, right, it allows me to, recommend me certain reading articles and certain videos or exercises that I can pick from. Again, for your more studious employees, right, that are going through the coaching program, they can also browse various topics. And as you can see, right, most of the topics are curated by our own internal team. But at the same time, we also have different articles by the Harvard Business Review, right? So most of them are very bite-sized by nature. So you take about maybe 1 or 2 minutes to go through. And really, the different videos and readings and even exercises are really used to kind of complement the power of coaching in their lives, right? So I think that is something that I want to just quickly run you guys through. Again, there are different goals that you can set. Again, you can see here different activities for he or she to run through. So in this case, it's building resilience through different values. You can have your action items, your starting date, some description as well. So we also have another a demo, but because of the time constraint we have today, I'm unable to do that. But we have a live dashboard again for super users to look at things like the utilization rate. You can look at the success of the coaching program and how close you are in obtaining your coaching goals or coaching outcomes. Yeah, so with that, I think I will just stop share my screen. I know time is almost up, but anytime, you do feel free to reach out to CoachHub or myself, and we're happy to run you through again.
Thank you, Daryl. We would first go to Paramita and then Mon and then Dr. Veena. Over to you, Paramita.
Hey, thanks, Sriram. Hey, thanks, Daryl, for that wonderful platform. And I'm happy to see that you're using AI to do the pairing. It's a very difficult task to pair because it's a very personal bonding between coaching and coachees. Thankfully, you have that in place. So I have to ask one question, I'll just put it together. The first question is on data privacy. How do you maintain that? Secondly, how do you define success, and how do you measure the success outcome of the coaching like the success of the coaching that's happening? So those two questions.
Great question, right? So let me address the first one. We are GDPR compliant, that's for sure. So again, we are one of the very few companies that is GDPR compliant. So again, when all our coaches, or rather most of them that we take from established organizations like ICF, has a certain code of conducts and code of ethics that they follow through. So confidentiality is of higher standards, right? So there will be no recording of sessions. There will be no sharing of notes and whatsoever, right? So our platform is kept that way to maintain confidentiality. Happy to dive in depth with you at a later time, but maybe I'll address your second question, right? So coaching outcomes, right? How do we determine coaching outcomes? Again, coaching outcomes are very much dependent on what the organizations want. So maybe even before coming on to our program, we have a behavioral scientist team that can discuss with our clients, right? What are certain coaching outcomes that they want? Whether is it increase of ROI for their senior leaders, whether is it the reduction of attrition rate, increase in engagement scores. So all these things, right, can be discussed and framed before we even start this. So yeah, that's pretty much how we establish what the coaching outcomes. So it's not from us; it's really from the clients.
Thanks, Daryl.
Hi, Daryl. Good afternoon. Thank you very much for that very, very good presentation. Here in Citi, we provide executive coaches for our top talent. One of the factors that we consider when we provide coaching is the input and feedback of stakeholders to the performance of the talent. How do we factor in the feedback and the inputs of the stakeholder in the services that you're providing?
Yeah, that's a very, very good question. So one of the things that our platform can do is that we are able to kind of create a three-way conversation at the start. So there is a URL link where where the coach and the coachees can actually invite their managers to come in. Again, very much similar to the first question where we look at certain behaviors or certain outcomes. What we want to do is then to have the manager align with the coach as well as the coachees, right? So we can talk about certain outputs that they want to get from coaching, because again, it is something that is sponsored by the organization. It is something that is a privilege for people to go through, right? So we don't want it to just be like a chit chat session. So yes, definitely inviting the manager or the sponsor in is of great priority, and we're able to do that in the platform. But also discussing certain outcomes of behavioral change is again something that we can always discuss between the coach, the manager, and the coachee.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Daryl, thank you very much for that very interesting presentation. I have two quick questions.
Right.
One is, since you mentioned about AI-enabled pairing, how do you take care of some issues such as biases?
Yeah.
And my second question is, many organizations are shifting to team-based coaching. So how does your product cater to that?
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Good question, right? So let me deal with the first one. So yes, as much as we always say, right, that having a big pool of coaches is not relevant unless you're able to scale it down. And of course, as much as AI and the matching algorithm is important when it comes to selecting a singular coach from thousands of coaches, there has to be a human element, where we talk about comfort, we talk about trust, we talk about things like how whether there is chemistry between the coach or coachees, right? So it's just not possible for us to just blast out 3,000 or 4,000 different coaches and for them to pick and choose. That's why what the matching algorithm does is it tries its best, right, to select 3 or 4 coaches, 3 at a time, for the coachees to choose. There is also the element of allowing us as coaches to choose our coaches, which is again traditionally not seen in different organizations, where he or she may select one executive coach to a senior leader, and that's that, right? That is where we see coaching programs fail. So yes, as much as we are using matching technology and how to eliminate bias, really it falls back to how comfortable that coachee is, right? So we empower them to make choices as well. Very quickly, second question, you talk about team coaching, group coaching. Currently, it's in our management pipeline, I believe, to actually bring in group coaching. So at this point in time, CoachHub does not provide group coaching, but it's definitely, we have been hearing feedback of the importance of team coaching and the demands are there. So definitely we are already working on that. So when it's out, we're happy to share that with you as well.
Thank you very much, Daryl, and wishing you the very best for group coaching and your future roadmap. All the very best. Thank you. I'd probably request Som from L&T EduTech to go next. Over to you, Som.
Thanks, Sriram. Thanks, hrtech.sg, Sanika, Swacha. Thanks a lot for having us here. And Paramita, Raymond, and Veena. Paramita, we share the same mother tongue. Cognizant has been my largest customer from my previous stint at Meritrack. Raymond, I've been to Makati many times on work. A wonderful place to be in. Veena, I've had the fortune of having SPJ and alumnus as co-founders of Meritrack, which has been a pioneer in the assessment space. So yeah, with that, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for having L&T EduTech here. Just to quickly take you through what L&T EduTech is into. We are in the business of learning and assessments, but primarily to look at the journey from a student in the higher ed space, becoming a professional with day one productivity, and then moving forward in career to be an expert. So using all of learning, training, assessment, skilling, intervention, whichever word and synonyms can be used, essentially trying to empower individuals in the higher ed space and outside, and providing work-ready talent for employers. So the $21 billion L&T group forayed into this business very recently. When I say recently, we were formally launched on the 15th of October 2021 by Mr. Aim Nayak, the group chairman. And the backup of this large group, which is into a variety of businesses, into significant technology and information technology-led businesses as well, with companies like L&T Infotech, L&T Technology Services, and Mindtree. We are fairly well positioned to address some of the aspects of employability, which is the cause why we are here. So trying to address all challenges, all issues related to employability, enhancing employability for these students in the higher ed space, and thereby helping not only the individuals and the academic institutions, but also the workforce within organizations at large. That's so a comprehensive ecosystem to provide value to each of the stakeholders in this journey of employment, and so the employer and the employee together. That's the objective. Now, what we really do is use assessments as a diagnostic measure to understand proficiency of various competency levels. Based on the insights that come in from these assessments, provide various education, learning, training, skilling initiatives. And I'm sorry I'm having to rush through this purely because of constraints of time. Bear with me, and HR Tech can share this deck with you as is, or I can take separate conversations with you all. So this was the first slide, which I talked through already with the assumption that I was sharing it already. This was the second, which was the entire cycle of 6 critical components that we are looking at. And this is where I was, that entire journey from a diagnostic assessment at one end to the certification in the context of job readiness at the other, with the vision of the group being having a skills exchange, which is really a repository of data, which contains enough and more of information, not only on the personal, academic, and skill set based aspects, but objective competency-led information. So numbers which can be associated with various competencies that make up for jobs, and thereby allowing employers to provide those as inputs to the ecosystem to fetch profiles. Now, 5 and 6 are really things that would require some time, hundreds and thousands of data points from assessments, thousands of data points from the skilling initiatives that we have. So we are easily looking at a 2-odd-year phase before the skills exchange and the employer connect can become meaningful. But at this point in time, 1 through 4 is what we are very successfully conducting, not only within the L&T group companies, but outside as well. So the assessments and certification largely from, like I said, diagnosing the competencies, ascertaining the proficiency levels, and thereby acting on that. That's one part. The same assessments, as you may understand, are used for the purpose of selection and development. The IT skilling, which really is my core point of conversation today, is something that we built based on very clear fundamentals. And the fundamentals being, one, the fact that we are talking about technology-assisted learning and assessments, not doing away, or rather not being obsessed with a no-touch kind of mechanism, but largely getting into something where we look at all aspects of instructional videos, which comprise the e-learning component, the assessments, which are auto-evaluated, practice labs of coding, mentoring, and certification together. So that's the whole package that we are looking at and working with internal group companies already. And I mentioned taking them outside. This is what we are focusing on at this point in time for obvious reasons within India and even outside, with that space of IT being one of the highest employers, perhaps with demand being at an unparalleled level as compared to before. So that pushes us to this piece where we are looking at career paths which begin with Java full stack, can mean Python and data management for a typical data engineer kind of role, and then again .NET full stack with me. So this is what I had to, from a presentation standpoint, take you through. What I will do now is I'll share my screen and take you through the platform itself. So what you see here, in line with what I mentioned, so we have a Java and Mean full stack. So this is e-learning content, which is instructional videos that are hosted on the L&T EduTech created learning management system. And just to set context clear and expectations clear, we are not positioning ourselves as a LMS provider. We are more positioning ourselves as a solution provider, which is leveraging technology through LMS, LXP, and the works, but essentially getting into a proposition where looking at content and platform both together. So that's the key point to consider, not platform, but solution in the context of learning and development. So what you see here is the Java and Mean full stack packages which have been made available from a pure, and these can be curated. We just standardize this. So we have core Java, we have the SQL database, we have web design, we have Angular, Node, Mongo, and the works. Everything that starts with a core Java at one end, and to do justice to the Mean full stack, looking at Node.js, Express, and MongoDB, development to deployment. That's the learning track. And I'll just, for a moment, take you through, as mundane and as it may be, just take you through the kind of content that's here. So I was actually going through concepts of classes and object. I'll pause here so I don't use up too much time. But just to show you, so this is the e-learning content, which is essentially instructional videos. There are downloadable coding exercises here, which are essentially one to be performed by the learner, and with a base model of ours which contains the mentor, but it can pretty much be done without a mentor as well, with adequate information given on the course and various learning resources that are available. That's one part. And the second is where we are looking at activities. Now, when we talk about activities, one particular point that I wanted to highlight, and in my opinion, not very frequently seen, is these exercises which are, if I may say, which are auto-evaluated. They do not require an evaluator to go through the, So in the auto-evaluation, what we call coding labs, the difference is that there are pre-configured exercises that are available, which are made accessible to the learner for the duration for which a program is curated. And just to show you 3 components. So there is something called an explore, the second an analyze, and the third a design. Now the explore is essentially a knowledge check, which is fairly rudimentary, if I may say. The knowledge check is typical MCQs, but which wherever applicable, it can also have code snippets and in the item stem as well as in the answer option. So that's the explore option, which is largely a knowledge check, if I may say. The analyze part is where it is expected that the learner does a few things. One of them being against a problem statement. On the left that you see, there is a block of code that's provided, and here is a gap. So code gaps, if you may say, that's one way analysis is done. So you have a problem statement, you go through these lines of code and you fill in the gaps. That's one way, and you get once you submit your response, you get the various answer options that are there. Now that's one type. I go to the design then. The design is really where you have problem statements and you write a code. The most important bit that I wanted to show here is the validation of the responses. So the validation of the responses is essentially manifested in the form of test cases. So how many test cases have passed, how many failed, what is the difference? This is the extent to which the auto evaluation. So this is where we think tech-assisted learning, we've been able to do some amount of justice by giving learners the whole, and you see here previous submissions. So everything that is provided as an input by the learner is captured and provided as feedback, either through information through test cases or through the submissions. You see no submissions here because I didn't present any line of code. So yeah, like Sriram said, I'm over time. I'll stop here and take questions.
Over to you, Paramita.
Hey, thanks, Sriram. Thanks, Som, for the demo. And I can so relate to the demonstration that you did. So much of it is what we are using right now. And good to know that, once the students go through your curriculum, they will be productive from day one, I'm assuming. I know that the company was newly founded, but I had 2 questions. One is, how do you differentiate yourself from all the other providers in the same space that is there? And secondly, how would you rate your success in this space, Som?
So I'll take the second one first, Paramita. Not haven't covered enough distance to comment on the rate of success, because so as I speak, there are 10 batches which are running, all in various stages of completion. So our objective of that day one productivity, we are yet to get. But we've designed the entire proposition in a system by which assessments, and most importantly, now these assessments and especially the exit gate is something that is collaboratively created with the employer. So our belief is, in a sense, we are challenging ourselves for all that we teach, all that we impart. The inputs from industry in terms of checking readiness is something which will be, and like I said, I don't have data yet because batches are ongoing. But I'm sure in the course of the next few weeks or months, I'll be able to share some information on the success ratio.
Yeah, and the first question was, there are so many providers already in this space, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So one the auto-evaluated coding labs plus the design itself, Paramita, and this is, so what we've done is been the last one to begin, or rather the newest one to be in this space. We've taken the best of everything. So one, the mentor or the instructor-led piece, that's one. The second, the auto-evaluated coding exercises, plus a virtual machine which has community versions of software. We've packed all of this into one to say that self-paced digital virtual is not the only thing that will work. Instructor mentors are necessary, and you need to have, so also coding labs, unlimited would not serve the needs of a real workplace, and which is where the virtual machine and community versions of software come into play. So packaging itself is something that we think would be different. But yeah, that's about all. The success is what will really define if you're really being different or not.
Yeah, thanks and all the best.
Thank you so much.
Hello, Som. Good afternoon. Thank you for your presentation. My question is, now that we are moving into a very different environment, different landscape, I know you're offering the example that you showed is IT, no? IT courses. Are you offering a package wherein you combine IT with soft skills? Because this is now what's being demanded by the business right now, not just IT skills, no, but providing our IT talent with the soft skills in terms of communication, in terms of interaction, and the like.
Absolutely. So, Ramon, I mean, this was very specific, so I took you through the IT platform, but thanks for that question. We have IT, English, and the behavioral part, all three put together as part of a finishing or an employability enhancement program. That's how it is designed.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
Hello, Som. Thanks a lot for this presentation. I just wanted to have two quick questions. One is, does your platform provide adaptive learning? And second thing is, building on Mon's comment on the transferable skills, what aspect does your platform focus on? Workplace transferable skills.
Sure. So, Veena, I'll be extremely forthright. We have in this first phase of our journey, we have decided that we are going to look at the very fundamentals with a good grip, and this comes from our internal group companies and the entire ecosystem here, right? So where we are saying, let's look at basics, let's provide mentors, let's leverage technology to disseminate content. So we have, long story short, we have not looked at the adaptive just now. It's very, very content and mentor driven. That's one part. The other part is from a pure play elements of the offering standpoint, technology, behavior, and English, like I said a while ago, all of these are as in the models are built on best practices in terms of learning and assessments both. But it's, as much as I may want to say, I think like we are waiting really for demonstrated effects of those outcomes. So really trying to look at how the journey from the student to the professional to the expert, the day one productivity is measured through milestone assessments specific to the skill sets of knowledge. So everything that comprises knowledge, skills, abilities, and personality or behavior traits, that's what we are trying to take to the workplace. So in a way, we've started backwards. What is it that the employers require? What is it that the students are learning in the academic institutions? Identifying the gap and then plugging those with the various inputs that we have. That's been the, if I may say, the framework of sorts. I don't know if that answered your question in whole or partially, but this is what we are trying to do from an employability enhancement standpoint.
Yes, thanks a lot, Som.
Hi, Som. Archana here. It was a while before I joined IT, so I'll ask a generic question. And I don't know if I missed that in your demo, but do you have some provision for grading, in the sense that, you know, like the proficiency levels will be very different, right, for the same course or for the same assessment? So how are you, is there an option where you differentiate, you know, what is the sort of level of the person who's taking it up, and also, you know, judge what level of, you know, additional support they will need? So just trying to understand how is the personalization part, if at all.
Absolutely. So again, we've taken a very fundamental approach of staying away from the percentile, Archana. What we've done is we believe that in the interest of quality, so while percentile has its relevance, in the interest of quality, benchmark scores is something that needs to be in place, and that's exactly how. So we have grades, if I may say. So you have you have a below 30, you have a 30 to 50%, you have a 51 to 70%, and then you have a 71% upwards. That's where we are classifying the proficiency levels basis the performance, the data for which is arriving from one, the instructors, to the exercises, three, the assessments. That's how we are grading people in terms of the benchmark scores, which drive the grades more than percent.
Thank you, Archana. Thank you, Som. Som, you have some questions from Shubha and Rajarshi on the chat box. Would request you to respond to that. Thank you very much, Som. We move on to Vivek Garg, our final presenter of the day.
Hi, Shriram. Good afternoon. Thank you, Shriram. Thank you, everyone, for having us over here. Okay, so my name is Vivek, and I represent UpsideLMS, which is basically a learning ecosystem platform, basically. So we are into like talent development programs, actually, where the learners can upskill, cross-skill, and re-skill themselves, basically, to be ready for the next role in the organization. It is a cloud-based application, and that is a SaaS application, actually. So being SaaS, we keep on coming with new features, new modules based on what is happening in L&D space globally, so that we keep on bringing those new features every 3 months. Application is powered by artificial intelligence, where the learners are basically being recommended with the highly trending content on the platform. Like, what are the highly trending content on the platform, so that they can access the platform based on their preferences. And as well as the application also take care of the competency mapping. So when I talk about the competency mapping, for example, Vivek is in the role of sales manager, and being in the role of sales manager, Vivek need to have maybe a couple of skills. So if at all any of the skill is Vivek is lacking in any of the skills, then application with the help of AI engine automatically picks up that content and deliver to Vivek. And Vivek need to complete so that the skill gap can be filled. As a part of our portfolio, basically, we offer UpsideLMS, which is our flagship product, which is a knowledge platform, as well as Plethora, which is our content platform. So basically, we have curated 100,000 plus courses from different content providers globally. So it is a combination of LMS plus LXP, where the administrator will decide what are the mandatory trainings, as well as we empower the learners to choose them, basically, if at all they are interested in upskill, reskill, or process skill themselves. These are a couple of statistics, basically. Like, we have been into the business since last 18 plus years. More than 2.5 million plus users on the application. More than 250 plus clients globally in almost all the verticals. We have been given like 50 plus awards and recognitions from different e-learning industries globally, based on our innovation, based on our user experience, and etc. So we cater to almost every industry. Our platform, our solutions are industry agnostic. So why UpsideLMS? Basically, though its name sounds basically UpsideLMS, but that is a complete LMS, is a complete amalgamation of LMS and LXP platform. So why UpsideLMS is your go-to for talent development? Why basically most of the companies go for UpsideLMS as a talent development platform? So couple of things basically which makes this platform a complete learning ecosystem. So it covers almost all the flavors of training, be it your self-paced training, online, blended learning, classroom training, management module, as well as the VILT. So it covers almost all the flavors of training. A lot of APIs where we can integrate our platform with your HRMS application, with your CRMS application, for user syncing, for single sign-on, as well as we can integrate with the third-party content providers, where third-party content providers content can be created directly on the platform. Couple of specific features we have, like compliance training. Compliance training and retraining basically is one of the specific feature we have. We can talk about it. I mean, if at all anybody is interested to know more into it. Competency management, I talked about, basically application maps what kind of skills are required at a specific role, and if at all any skill is mapping, application will pick up that specific training from the content archive, from the content management engine, and will assign it to the users. A lot of analytics are available basically where the LMS or application administrators can make it out basically what exactly has been the ROI in the application. It's a complete learner engagement platform also, where we have a lot of features like social learning tools, assessments, surveys, discussion boards, communities, where the learners can collaborate with each other and talk to each other for information exchange or the knowledge exchange. Our application basically can host any type of media, be it your AICC SCORE 1.2 for XAPI videos, PPT Word. So it can host any kind of a documents of the media, and you can stitch together to make it a training program. So I'm done with my PPT. Let me just quickly show you the application. So application is a completely role-based application. So depending on what kind of a role you have, whether you are a learner, you are a user, or you are a power user. Power user are the ones basically who has limited access rights, limited admin rights. For example, I'm the head of the department, so I need to have the entire admin rights for my own department. So that becomes a power user, or a trainer, or an instructor, or a manager, or admin, or sub-admin. So depending on what kind of a role you have, you will have the rights and privileges in the application. So as of now, basically, I am on the end user screen. So once I get into the screen, I can see what exactly is being assigned to me as a part of my training plan, as a part of my development plan. So which I am supposed to complete. So I can see 80 programs are going on and 54 I have completed. And these are the 89 items basically which I need to complete as a part of my development plan. So you can see basically, as I said earlier, application is a true amalgamation of LMS plus LXP. So LMS, typical platform basically where the administrators decide, okay, this is a training plan for the Vivek. But LXP is a learner experience platform where the learners have the privileges to upskill, cross-skill, or reskill themselves. So for the mandatory trainings basically which are being assigned by the admin, the user would be able to see these are the mandatory one which I need to complete within a specific time period. Or if at all, I already have assigned myself as a part of my reskill program or upskill program, I can see that this is self-assigned. All the content on the application can be categorized into different categories. Like if at all you have any behavioral courses, or you have any IT courses, you have any customer care courses, or you have any like HR courses. So we can categorize, or the content are being categorized according to their subject, so that it becomes easier for the learner to search for a specific content. So application has a very powerful search engine. So most popular in the sense I was talking about, because of the AI engine, application will automatically recommend these are the most trending courses on the application. And if at all you are interested, you can access these courses. So access can be configurable. When I say access can be configurable, so access can be like based on some approval from the manager. So if at all you are my manager and I request for any training, so my request will go to you and it depends on you. Or it can be like self-approved. So if at all I am interested, I can assign it on my own. So likewise, we can categorize all the courses depending on the categories. These are the managers actually. Now, these days, what is happening basically, because everybody has gone online. So how do I know basically what my subordinates are doing? So being the manager of the team, I can see what my team is doing. So this is team progress. I can see at any point of time what kind of a training programs have they completed, not completed, what kind of certifications have they completed, what kind of a compliance skills have they got. One of the big IT giant in India, they make use of the platform basically to make it out how many .NET, how many Java engineers we have at any given point of time, so that they can have a report, and those engineers can be deployed immediately as soon as the project is in. In different tabs basically for the instructors or the trainers, like who will be managing basically the virtual classrooms, or who will be managing the instructor-led sessions. So as I said, it's a role-based application. A lot of collaboration tools basically, where the learners can collaborate with each other. We can create the communities, and the communities can be joined by like-minded guys where they can have some productive discussions. So we have discussion board also. So discussion board is like basically if at all I am a user, I come across any queries, I can post it, and any of the user on the application or the admin can answer my queries. Application is powered by gamification engine, where we have the leaderboard. So the leaderboard will tell basically like who is the best performer in terms of the learning in the organization. And this high performance basically is being evaluated on the number of points accumulated by the users. So this number of points basically being accumulated by doing a lot of activities in the application. How active you are on the application. Are you really like participating in the communities? Are you really completing your training programs well in time? So we have a application has a configurable gamification engine where you can set the rules. And according to the rules, application will keep on assigning the points. So this is a bit about on the learner side. If I go on the admin front, so application is available on the web as well as on the mobile app, iOS and Android. So let me talk about the reports especially. So application has very comprehensive report. So if at all we talk about assessment reports, so it gives you very comprehensive analytics. So let me open one report, because assessment is one of the specific criteria, basically like how do we evaluate our learners are acquiring the knowledge or not. So like this is one of the assessment report where you can make it out what is the pass rate, what is the fail rate, what exactly who is the best performer on the application, who is the least performer on the application. We can do the nitty-gritties. We can go to the nitty-gritties at the question level. If at all any of the question is being answered wrong by everyone, you can easily make it out if something is wrong with the question or something is wrong with my learner's understanding. You can do the nitty-gritties or analytics at learner-wise. So if at all you have set any cutoff, like 50%, 60%, 70% is the passing rate, then you can also make it out learner-wise analytics. So this is my content management, basically, where you can upload your own courses as well as we can curate from the third-party content providers, be it like LinkedIn or be it Coursera or Skillsoft, whatever it is. So you can make the curriculums. So we have a specific concept of curriculum where if at all I look this curriculum, so where you can stitch different learning content together. Like you have a learning course, you have a video, you have an assessment followed by an assessment, or followed by a survey. So you can stitch different learning content together and make it a learning program. And the learning program basically can be configured like this learning program for a specific set of users, or for a specific profile, or for a specific for a specific band, basically who has less than 5 years experience or more than 5 years experience, whatever it is. Then in terms of the evaluation, application can evaluate. Then in terms of the evaluation, because evaluation is again a very specific parameter. Our application basically evaluate the learners on majorly 3 parameters. One is reaction. So whenever a training is being assigned, so we can also assign a survey where we can capture basically what exactly has been of the reaction of the learners. The second is learning. Learning is in terms of the assessment. So we can assign the assessments to capture their knowledge. And third is the evaluation by the managers. So as soon as the learner's training is over, a trigger will go to their managers, where the managers basically will be asked to evaluate their subordinates, basically what exactly the changes they have seen in terms of the behavioral as well as in terms of the technical post-training. So all these basically like the application is packed with all the features in terms of learner evaluation, learnings, knowledge platform, and everything. Yes, Shreya.
Thank you very much, Vivek. We start with Paramita.
Yes, please.
Hey, thanks, Vivek, for the demo. Very interesting to see that the social learning is already integrated, because that's one of the most popular modern workplace learning aspects. So good to see that. And the learning analytics in terms of how the assessments are faring, that is also something that was interesting. Now, I have 2 questions, Vivek. I know it's a cloud-based SaaS product that you have there. We've been using LMSs for the last, I don't know, more than a decade or so, and we've used multiple of them. What we struggle with is what's the level of customization you would allow for an organization as big as ours, for us to be implementing that. That is question number one. And secondly, you did talk about integration of external content while you have an LXP. How easy or difficult it is to integrate all the other major content providers that are there globally now? So 2 questions from my side.
So let me take your second question first. So in terms of the third-party content providers, it is not a rocket science, to be very honest. So as far as basically the third-party content providers have their APIs, so their entire content can be published on application, right? So the user is not going out of the application in terms of launching the application as well as getting the analytics from the application. So having said, basically, if at all the third-party content providers have the APIs, the integration is very much possible.
Sure.
Coming to your first question, basically in terms of the customizations, so that is a SaaS application, and being SaaS, we keep on coming with new features, new modules, majorly onto 3 parameters. So we have 3 major avenues basically where we capture the new requirements. The first venue is basically the sales guys, where they keep on interacting with the prospects to understand if at all any gap is there into the application as well as their requirements, because L&D guys are the best guys basically who can define the roadmap of the learning criteria. The second is basically our project managers. For example, we start working with you, right? And even if basically my application is meeting your 90% or 95% requirements today, it doesn't mean that my application will keep on sufficing your requirements for the next 5 years. So as you grow, your learning appetite grows, right? And you basically came up with the new requirements. So you can communicate to the project managers and they will keep on communicating to the product development team. So we keep on aligning your new requirements with the product roadmap. And
so basically, so basically whatever customization I would request from an organization perspective, you will integrate with your product so that it's available to the wider customer bases. That's what you're saying? For example, I'm saying we need additional reports or additional customization in terms of how to create learning paths for the learner, things like that. I mean, it's very simple examples I'm taking here.
Yeah, Vivek, do you want to finish off Paramita's?
Yes. No, I think so. Paramita had some queries in between. Paramita, please.
Yeah, so I was asking, so when I say customization, I was talking about customization of the features, right? So
Absolutely.
If you customize for one, it will be available for all. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Okay.
So
we have a single source code policy. So the benefit is basically if at all we customize anything for you is available to others. We customize anything for the others is available to you, but in a configurable mode. So if at all you do not want to make use of those features, it is disabled on your application. Otherwise, it is available.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Hi, Vivek. Thank you very much. That's a very comprehensive system that you presented to us. I know in your presentation, you mentioned that we can design a curriculum for our learners. Is it possible that the system can gauge the skill level of the learner and automatically accelerate the learner to the next level of the curriculum?
So if at all I pick up your questions into 2 parts. So the first part is basically where the system need to identify which level the user is, right? So that information need to come from your HRMS application. So if at all your HRMS application is giving me that information, we can pick it up through the APIs. The second is basically once the application identifies that, okay, Vivek is at this specific level, at a level 2 in communication, level 3 at negotiation. And now the Vivek progresses. So as the Vivek progresses in the career, and basically the requirements of the skills level changes. So my application AIs will automatically take care of it. So for example, I'm a sales manager, I go to the senior sales manager role, then the requirement of skills level change from A to A+. And if at all that A+ training is available into the system, so my A engine will pick it up and will assign to me automatically.
So the assessment can be incorporated into your system. So the learner can come in and then do the assessment, and the system will automatically assign the level he is in.
So as I said, basically the level he is in need to come from your HRMS system. So once the application identifies that Vivek is at a specific level, then we take the skill level journey ahead into the application. But the first level, the application need to understand from your HRMS or maybe some bulk upload activity.
It's outside the system. Okay,
Yes.
Got it. Thanks, Vivek.
Hey, Vivek, thanks a lot for this informative session. I have two quick questions. You mentioned about gamification, and the example that you gave was more at the outcome end in terms of leaderboard. And so are you also using gamification in instruction design stage? That is my first question. And second question is, let's say an employee quits from the organization. What happens to his the skills and certification? Are they portable for the employee?
So to answer your first question first, so there are two sets of gamifications actually. One is at a application level, where basically we gamify the learning approach, right? And the second is at a content level, where we develop the gamified content. Two different aspects. So at a content level, we need to develop the gamified content, whether it is a game-based or story-based content. And another aspect is basically the gamification at a application level, where we gamify the learning approach just to motivate them, just to engage them basically by giving them more badges, more points, so that those points basically can be redeemed. So those points can be basically like whatever the points are accumulated, we can export those points into the R&R engine, where they can redeem those points against any merchandise, just to engage them, just to motivate them. Yes. And I'm sorry, I forgot about your question, the second question.
Yeah. So you are currently providing both content level gamification and application level gamification.
Correct.
Okay. Thanks. My second question was more on employees quitting the organization. What happens to some of the things that they have already completed? Is there any portability?
Yeah. So what happens basically, like for the enterprise applications, for the enterprise companies, we always do the user syncing right from your HRMS application or HRIS application, right? So auto user provisioning or deprovisioning happens automatically. If at all I join the company, then within a couple of hours, basically, I'll get my login details into the application. If I quit the company, then my access will be terminated automatically, maybe in the next 1 hour time. And in terms of all my skills, in terms of certifications, that remain as it is into the application. Nobody can delete it, because we never know when Vivek is back in the organization. So that cannot be deleted. Did I answer your question, Nina?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay. Sorry, just to confirm on what Veena's question was. So it's not portable in the sense that the employee cannot take it to their next employer, right? It stays with the organization.
It stays with the organization. If at all, like, see, in terms of the badges, right? If at all they have, for example, you have completed any training program, right? And that training program had any badges.
Sure.
So that badges can be displayed on the LinkedIn or social media. But none of the organization will allow you basically to display your organization, what kind of training programs, what kind of a compliance programs you have completed in your ex organization.
Okay. Okay. So I have one question, Vivek, but before that, I think it was definitely a comprehensive presentation. Like Ramon said, you have a great system, good analytics, self-service, everything integrated. My question sort of has two parts. So firstly, I'm just curious to understand what's your geographic spread, which are some of your top regions where you operate. And the reason why I want to understand is the second part, which is, how do you customize content regionally? Like in the demo, for example, I saw POSH training, right? And it just came to my mind because POSH training, both the content and the assessment will be very different from region to region. So how do you take care of those differences?
So in terms of geographically spread, so we have the clients globally, right from APAC to US. So you name the region, and probably we have the clients in Latin America, we have the clients in Trinidad and Tobago. So probably at least one client, but we have the clients in each and every corner of the globe, right from Africa to East Africa to West Africa to India to Singapore also, APAC also, even Saudi Arabia also. So we have at least, you will find one client over there. We are platform agnostic. So our application basically is being used by almost all the enterprise companies and SMBs also. If I pick up a couple of names like Kenya Airways, American Airlines, Larsen & Toubro, Infotech also, then PhonePe, then probably Vedanta Group, JSW Steel, and who else? So these are a couple of clients basically. And if at all you look at profile, the startups in India, most of the startups in India, they love our application, like PhonePe, Grofers, Suburban Diagnostics. So they love our application basically because of the GUI as well as the availability on web as well as the mobile app. And in terms of the the content customization, yes, we can customize the content in any of the language basically. So when it comes to language translations or the voiceover, so these two services we outsource because we do not have in-house artists as well as the translators. But otherwise, we can develop the course in any of the content, in any of the language. And whenever we develop the content, basically we need the raw content from your side and the SMEs. Rest of the part, basically in terms of IDs, GDs, programmers, is being done by us.
Thank you very much, Vivek. Thank you, Archana, for the questions. Before we wrap up, I really like to thank our expert HR panel, Paramita, Archana, Veena, Mon. Really appreciate all your time and effort in spending time with the providers and sharing your questions and queries. And once again, thanks to CoachHub, L&T EduTech, and UpsideLMS for demonstrating their platform, best-in-class platforms, I should say, today. And finally, thank you very much to our sponsor, Chili, for being the demo hour champion for the entire 2022. Thank you very much, and look forward to seeing you in the next edition of Demo Hour. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.